Hello, and welcome to another episode of Scavenger Life. This is episode number 194 at scavengerlife.com.
And we hope if you hear our voices, you're currently photographing or cleaning.
Hopefully you're not
listing.
driving to your 9-to-5 job.
Yeah.
Some of you are, though.
Listening to us and you're driving to your other job, you know, these are the voices of people who actually quit their job and are selling full time. So it is possible.
Yep.
That's for sure. I wanted to briefly talk about, we were talking on the blog this week, I linked to another couple, and they talked about being a frugal
Yes.
as a couple.
This is the couple that writes the blog Frugalwoods.com.
Right. Yep. And, you know, it's interesting. There's a lot of these there's like this little subculture of people who blog about like being really thrifty.
Yeah.
And the kind of goal is like it's retirement.
Right.
Not that these people aren't ever going to work again, just where they don't have to work for someone else because they're saving so much money, paying off all their debt.
Yeah.
But I thought it was interesting, the idea of being frugal as a couple. And I've seen people talk about that on the blog, about having a spouse or a partner where one of them isn't really into it yet.
Yeah.
You know?
That's tough. Right.
You know, I think for us, I mean, we were just, I guess that's probably why we're together, is that we were both pretty frugal on our own.
Right.
You know.
I don't think that's why we're together, but that's a huge part of, of us being able to be together and be excited to, you know,
you always hear about how, you know, one of the main reasons why couples fight is over
money.
Yeah. And that's one thing we don't fight that much about because, you know, we don't really have very rarely do we have anything in our life that demands a lot of money, so we're stressed about it.
Well, I will say, you know, when we have been redoing our houses, I mean, we did like 6 years straight of home renovations because we did 2 houses.
Right.
That is a very stressful, and actually I learned a lot about budgeting money and being okay. Like, we have a huge chunk of money and next week it's all gone.
Right.
But there's a reason for that, you know, and I had some very stressful times.
Yeah.
You know, with that.
But I remember when we got together, one thing that really helped both of us is that we had both been saving money.
Yes.
So when we came together, we realized that we both had money saved up.
It's interesting because a lot of the, and we can talk about this again later, that Tightwad Gazette, we had talked about her newsletters and books, and we just got one of her books. And one of the things she said was her and her husband, back in the like late 80s, early 90s, they saved like $50,000, which back then was a lot of money.
Yep. It's a lot of money now.
But I mean, back then it was like even more. But when we decided to buy our house and we cashed out all our money, we had $70,000 between the two of us.
Yep.
When we cashed that out, I was like, dude, we had a lot of money, you know? That was a lot of money saved up. And, you know, for where we were living, that's how much we bought our house for, which was perfect. It was like down to the penny.
Well, you know, it's like that blog, it's Frugalwoods, that couple talks about, you know, they brag about they save 71% of their a monthly income, which is
amazing.
Great.
Yeah.
Which really, if you think about it, I always say they're an interesting example of that kind of person. They're making a lot of money.
Yeah.
I think they listed somewhere, but I bet that they make together $150,000 plus a year.
Right.
So really, if you're saving $70,000, you're still living off of $40,000. You know,
they
mortgage.
live in an expensive city. I mean, they live in Cambridge, Mass. So, you know, Boston area.
Right.
And if they're paying rent on an apartment, I mean,
they're actually buying their house.
Oh, they're buying their house.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, well, good.
That's part of their strategy, is that they're buying their house or paying it off, and then their dream is in 3 years they're going to buy a homestead in it's Vermont and keep the Cambridge house that will be paid off and rent it, and that will be like an engine for
good for
income.
them. I need to read more of their blog then.
But you know, I do remember. So when we came together, I mean, I think, you know, so we're not married. You know, we talked about that. And so, but we've always said what seemed more important to us was to figure out how to share
money,
our financials. You know, I think that's a big one. I mean, we pretty pretty soon after we got together and lived together, we merged our accounts, and we were kind of like, that felt like, okay,
that was like marriage.
We're like together.
No, seriously. Well, you know what's funny is it was a year into our relationship, and the thing that was like such a pain in the ass was we'd go out to dinner, not very frequently, but we'd go out to dinner. Okay, let's split it. Oh, rent is due. Okay, from your checking account, write me a check for half a rent. It was just like, what the heck? Let's just get a joint banking account. This is crazy. Yeah. We made money together. Yep. You know, we were in business together. So it was like, it just made sense early on.
But, you know, and I think that's one of the things we always talk about. I mean, you know, we could just go down, I guess, and just go to the county courthouse and just get a piece of paper that says where it's married, but you know, we never really felt like we needed to have like a big event where it was going to cost us, you know, 10, money. 15, 20, 30, $40,000.
Basically, you know? If we wanted to do something with money that was that much money, it would be real estate.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be a wedding.
Right. Well, you know? I mean, we kind of did that, you know.
Yeah, we did that.
Instead of spending its money on a big single day event, we've, you know, invested it in other places.
We bought houses.
I think the other thing is, you know, I think it would be hard too if you had a partner and you got together and then you merged its money and you start taking on each other's debts. I mean, we both came in with student loans.
Student loan. That was our only debt, really.
And that's pretty, you know, and I've been able to pay off mine.
You paid yours off, thank God.
And yours were still working
paying
on it. Yeah. But I bet that would be hard if you married someone or got together with someone that was bringing like a lot of debt. You know, credit card debt or something.
Yep. Yeah, good thing we didn't, but...
Or if you were with someone who, like, wasn't really down with the plan. And I don't know how...
Yeah.
If you can... I would love to hear what other people say about, like, if you can flip a person from being, like, a real consumer, you know, buying a lot of stuff, you know, it's needing a new car, and if you flip that person to being frugal and being down with the scavenger lifestyle.
Trash picking on the weekend for fun.
Right.
Yeah. I'm sure that there are people in our audience, and I would love to hear from them, that have done that. And I feel that that's true because a lot of people who listen to us are like, my husband/wife did not believe in the eBay thing, but then once the phone kept, you know, doing the cha-ching and we paid, you know, we're able to pay our mortgage every month with the, you know, side business of eBay.
Suddenly
they're a believer.
Yep.
And they're looking for stuff, their own cool stuff in the trash, whatever. So I feel that must be true, you know, with being frugal.
I mean, I was kind of like that. I mean, you're the one that started selling on eBay.
Right.
I mean, I was kind of like interested from the beginning, but it was always kind of, you're the one that started it.
Why was that? Was it just because I had done eBay before?
Yeah. I just didn't. I think I'd only bought one thing on eBay ever. It wasn't, you know, again, I'm not a consumer. Like, I'm not always buying products, so I didn't really buy anything.
Yeah.
And so I didn't buy anything on eBay either.
But I had the background of selling, and my mom had sold, and I kind of knew, like, what you do to...
And, you know, we never... I mean, I don't think when you started it was ever thought it was going to be a serious thing. It was, like, fooling around, kind of.
Yeah, and when I... What's funny is when I first started was even before I moved in with you, I had just, like, bought some stuff at Savers in Boston to sell on eBay, but I never really did it because I got into, you know, video editing and stuff like that and a career and whatever. And then once we were starting to move across the country, I remember I started listing stuff on eBay. I even made a video about it, like all the stuff I sold on eBay.
Right, I mean, but I always saw it as something of just how to get rid of old stuff, not an actual way to generate income. Right. But so when you started to sell on eBay, you know, that's when it's like that. When I saw, like, wow, things are selling every week. Like, I'm helping you find stuff. Right. Things are selling. It became very exciting.
What was important, your role was you helped make goals. So our first goal, I think, was to buy a Vitamix. And Vitamix blender are super expensive.
Right. I mean, a goal like, why are we doing this?
Yeah, so, like, let's work towards something.
Right, and so, you know, our goal was we wanted a Vitamix.
Right.
And the one we still have.
How much did they cost? Like $400 or something?
Yeah, but we got ours, it was like...
It was refurbished.
So it was probably about two something.
But still, that was a lot of money. It was like, what?
I mean, and that's the other thing about just, spending. I think one thing that's important for us is that we talk about everything we spend, I mean, other than, bits and pieces
Little
here.
things.
I mean, I don't think I spend more than $20 to $40 a month on my
Just
own.
on anything. Yeah,
Just because we work from home, so we eat most of our meals here. If I go out, I might get a cup of coffee.
Right.
A little snack.
Ooh, what's that? Hey.
That's a thing that addicts us.
It's supposed to put your phone on silent here.
I think really the only thing I still might buy on my own are I might buy a game or something.
Like on iTunes or something.
On iTunes or buy a book.
And
same with you.
And mostly we're pretty damn cheap about those things too.
Yeah.
I'm like, what? This ebook costs $9. What the hell?
But all of our other big purchases, I think it's important. We always talk about it. We talk about
yes, absolutely.
Like we're talking about maybe buying a storage building.
Yes.
Now
the thing about our storage too, I think we mentioned, is our outbuildings are at our other house. Right. At the farmhouse.
Some of them are.
Some of them are. So when people are renting, we can't access that stuff.
I mean, so, we've taken existing buildings that we had on our property and we've turned them into eBay storage because
retrofitted them.
It was cheap.
Yeah.
But it's becoming a little bit of a problem because they're kind of all within 10, 8 minutes of our house. And we're thinking, well, let's think about what would it take for us to build, a fairly large building.
Yeah. Because we have a lot behind our house.
800 square feet, behind our house. So everything could be all in one place, right?
Which would be like a beautiful miracle.
Yeah.
It would be amazing.
It would save us time. But, it's going to cost us $6,000,
$6,000-$7,000 maybe with all told. So it's pricey,
right? So it's something we're talking about. Yeah. So it's something we talk about,
Yeah.
But I think really that's the only way that this works. I mean, you can sell on eBay all day long, but if we had a really expensive lifestyle, it would almost just feel fruitless.
Yeah.
Because I would feel like we aren't getting anywhere.
Right.
Like we're still in debt. We're still spending all this. It's money, because it's a lot of work to do eBay. I mean,
it is.
People talk about how easy it is and all that, but
it's different. It's a different level of work than going to an office or whatever.
But it's a lot of time.
Yeah.
And so it's important for me that if we're going to invest all this time, that on the other side we're getting something out of it.
Right, right.
Rather than just spinning our wheels.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, something we talk about is when sellers talk about, wanting to make $1 million or building an empire and just growing. I mean, it's like we always say, what are you doing this for? Are you doing it for what? To buy a yacht? Right. What is the reason? To have your freedom, to spend time with your kids, to be able to travel. Yep. You have to really think about why, because why do you go to do a job every day? Yeah, you got to ask yourself that question. Do you love it? Fine, go to that job every day.
I think the other thing that I liked about that blog post that it's Frugalwoods did was they talked about how they have fun finding deals. Yeah. And that's definitely a big part of our relationship is we love to scavenge together. And it sounds crazy.
Super fun. Well, what's funny is I actually only read half that blog post, but the first 2 paragraphs I had to type you a chat. I'm like, sounds exactly like us. The fact that they're we ate a 25-cent meal. I'm like, we just say that all the time. I'm like, this meal cost me 35 cents. It's the best feeling. It totally reminds me of that woman who wrote the Tightwad Gazette. She's exactly what we all are, you know?
I love that people told us about this. I mean, again, it's another reason why we love doing our blog is that, we learn new things. I had no idea about this lady. She basically had a blog, but in the
book
90s format.
a newsletter form.
And the letters that people would send in were basically the comments.
Comments, yeah. Well, what's funny is that book, the Tightwad Gazette, it's like 3 books combined. I just have it sitting on the table, so while I'm eating meals, I'm like reading every page. I'm like, yep, we do that. Yep, I would totally do that.
She's basically doing everything we talk about. So it's really like we're not doing anything new.
Yeah.
We're just kind of like adding a layer of the internet that she didn't have, and the ability to make a living. Like she was about saving its money. I don't think so much more about making money. So we're kind of like adding that
saving money because they had one income
Sure.
from her husband so that they could live on that income. She's like, you know,
but a layer that I think a lot of us are helping to bring are like, you save its money, and then the income that you get is from all of it scavenging.
Exactly.
Like, you don't even need one like outside income.
Right.
You can be kind of self-contained.
And she said that in her most recent interview. She's like, the internet changed everything. Free cycle, Craigslist, eBay, all that stuff.
And, and so that's why, and again, I always like make fun of those programs that people can buy. Which, it's cool if people want to buy these little books or things about like how to make $1 million on eBay. I always feel like that's the wrong goal. I mean, I'd like $1 million. It's like,
totally
cool. It's money can buy happiness in some ways. But I feel like that that goal isn't what we're really after. Well, it's not just the $1 million. It's the process of making that $1 million or 100,000 or it's whatever. It's like, if me making that $1 million is making me unhappy, stressed, I'm not sleeping well at night,
I hate my life.
I'm having to interact with people I don't like because of it's whatever. It's not worth it.
Well, what I always think about is like, okay, so you have $1 million. I mean, why do you want that $1 million? You want to buy a fancy car? Okay, like for me as a person, I could give a crap about a fancy car. Do not care about that at all. Okay, so I have $1 million. What am I going to do? I want to buy a fancier, bigger house? No.
You know what it is? I'm gonna save it and live off the interest. That's what I'm gonna do.
Exactly.
But
then I don't have to do anything.
But to us, I think like the goal is not to pursue something because we want to be rich.
Yeah.
We want to pursue something because it fascinates us.
It's interesting.
And that to me, I think is
fun. It's interesting.
Like that's the thing that's important, and we've just found that these things that fascinate us, finding little old objects and scavenging stuff where people think is trash, that's so fascinating to us, and it just happens that we can make a living off of it.
That's very helpful that we can make a living off of it.
Very fun.
Yes.
But and that's always a paradox, like with the like tightwad lady, with us, with the Frugalwoods, with all these people. I mean, thank God not everyone is like us. Because
we live off their trash, basically.
Well, yeah, because we preach and live a thrifty a lifestyle, and like if everyone did that, factories would close. Like we don't contribute to the consumption that factories need.
Right, exactly.
It's really interesting.
Well, we've talked about that before, where people are like, it's like that guy who does like the dumpster diving in Austin, Texas, where he's getting brand new electronics. It's a weird paradox because you're like, I'm a dumpster diver, but you're dumpster diving like the crap that is like mass consumed and thrown away in a year, like it's a weird.
And those stores are throwing away brand new stuff because they have to make room
for the new stuff.
For the new stuff, because they can't hold on to just the regular new stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird. It's a weird thing.
But, I think we've talked about this. It's before, especially with Mikey and Wendy. I mean, if more people were thrifty, and Americans were to lower their amount of consumption and be more, like zen about it.
Yeah.
I think we'd all figure it out.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I mean, maybe not everyone needs to make as much money as it's making because they can all live cheaper.
Right,
and, I think it would. I don't think it would necessarily be a bad thing. Like if we couldn't find all this old stuff to sell online to other people, I'm sure we would figure something else out.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I think we're all survivors and adapters.
Yeah, totally.
But I don't think that's going to be changing anytime soon.
And not too soon, I don't think, no.
If you do have a partner...
Yes.
And this partner, is down with scavenging and saving and being frugal, I think it's your home free,
Yeah. Yeah.
But if you don't have a partner, it's like that. It's definitely tough. It's all about starting that conversation and talking about like shared goals.
Right. Exactly. It is very helpful that we both are excited about eating a 25-cent meal.
Especially especially if that person's young, like the sooner you can figure this out, man, the better. Like I see people on the blog who are, a little older that say, I wish I had learned to save money earlier.
To do this earlier.
Or be thrifty earlier.
Right.
Or start paying my house off earlier.
Right. Well, it's honestly never too late.
Yeah.
It really is never too late.
Yeah.
I mean,
sure.
I look at like Frugalwoods and people like that, and Mr. Money Mustache, and I'm like, damn, they started early. We started early, but if we had started even earlier, who knows? But again, like you said, we kind of did it the opposite way as Frugalwoods, and Mr. Money Mustache, they're saving, and then gonna retire early. We just retired.
We kind of retired early.
Like, fuck it.
Got the homestead, and then and then figured it out from there.
Yeah. We're like, how do we make a living? I don't know what we're doing. Yeah.
Although and we say it's retired, even though
we're not retired, but
we work hard. But
we work a lot.
It doesn't feel like we work like.
But it's fun. And if it's not fun, you got to make it fun.
Yep. So let's do our numbers for the week. I mean, this is again for retired people. This is our income.
Quote unquote retired people.
So we basically made about $2,000. This week we grossed that. It's before all the expensive that comes out. So that was it's 40 items. So our average price was about $50.
Good average price.
Which was good.
Great average price.
So, our income dropped from last week.
Yeah.
But, as those of you who follow us know, things change from week to week. And we never worry about, like, the average from week to week. What we look at is the average for the month. And we've just known over now a good handful of years that our income seems to be pretty average month to month.
And, there were some days that were super slow. Like, you're like, wow, we sold one $25 item. It wasn't that bad. But it felt really slow. And then there are days like yesterday, boom, 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 boom. Big, high dollar sales.
Yeah. So it's strange. So out of those, it's 40 items. 16 of them were under $30. So it's,
wow, so that's, things were higher priced.
Right, so, but that's, it's more than 25% of our stores. And so there were those days where we're selling a lot of under $30 items. But then over $100, we sold almost 25% of those. It's 40. We're over $100.
Okay, yeah.
And that's nice.
Yeah, it's just... You just can't tell. Like, sometimes weeks are crazy, sales steady all week, and sometimes it's like up and down, up and down.
Something I've noticed is that we've been talking about since late last year, trying to get the average price of our items higher.
Yeah.
And, and it's not something that you can do right away.
Yeah.
Like, you just can't flip a switch like, okay, now everything's now $400. I've noticed that it's taken time.
Yes.
And over this past 5 months now, and you're the one that's really doing it, is that we're finding better items and you're
listing them higher
and putting them higher. And so it's kind of been a mix of we're still getting all the same stuff we always get, but we're starting to also grab things we think might be higher. And then you're doing a little more, it's research on things and putting them higher. And it's noticing over the past month and a half or so, we've been selling a lot more $100+ items.
I think part of it is that whole thing of and I'll talk about this more because we got a phone call kind of about this, even when your research shows you can't really find the right price for this thing, but you're confident and you're like, I know this is rare. I know people want it. I'm putting it up super high, but I'm making an offer. and I'll see what happens. If nothing happens for a year, I got to change it. But you never know. It's the Mickey Mouse watch, you know?
Yep.
I could not find, you know, that exact one for the price I wanted for it. Didn't matter. I'm putting a high price on it.
Yep.
And it sold for $800.
Yep.
You know, I don't know. I made it up.
But, you know, that's the thing that we've kind of built. We built this pipeline where we still have the $30 plus items that are just kind of pumping out, and that's kind of our bread and butter income.
Right.
And yet we're still able to experiment
right.
and put these higher price items. So if it doesn't sell for 12 months, we're okay because we're still selling these other things. So we're kind of trying to, you know, get them all to kind of start evening out and start raising the price of our items.
Now, I don't want to be I don't want to be cocky about it. I'm not trying to be cocky about it. But I have a lot of high-priced items that have just been sitting there. Okay, obviously way too high. I have a hall tree. It's a gorgeous hall tree.
How much is it up for?
It's up for $1,800.
Yeah.
Jay the other day was like, "Yeah, I really want to sell that hall tree." I'm like, "Yeah, me too." And you're like, "How much is it up for? Like $600?" I'm like, "No, it's up for $1,800." Jay's like, "That's too high." That's way too high. But so what? I've sold stuff for over $1,000.
I mean, the reason why I want to sell this thing is that it's on our porch.
I want to get it.
It's a big piece of furniture, and
I just need to lower the price.
Yeah.
And Jay doesn't believe me. We paid $180 for it. You don't remember, but we did.
That's it.
So I'm like, I've got to get a lot of money for it.
Yeah, I got to get 10 times the amount.
If I got $300, I'd be happy.
So some of the things we sold this week, it's notable items.
Yes.
We sold our highest price was a Persian rug. We sell these from time to time when we find them. They're hard to find. These like vintage, even antique.
They're antique.
Persian rugs, and obviously the ones we buy are the beat up ones.
We want the distressed Persian rugs because there is a huge market for them right now.
Right, and because you can find them where they are overlooked because people think they're just kind of trash.
And we have a story about that later.
And that's kind of interesting. I mean, the thing is, when a lot of us have been talking about wanting to get higher dollar items to put in our store, you know, people are like, well, I'm willing to pay more. And we're willing to pay more for stuff too, but honestly, we don't really like to pay more.
No, of course I don't.
I think that's one reason why it's been slow is that we're still trying to pay what we always do, $1 to $10.
Yeah.
But we're just getting better, I think, at finding the things that only cost $1 to $10, but that people are overlooked.
People don't care; they think it's garbage.
Right.
You know. So the only thing about it too is we sold the Persian rug last night. They haven't paid yet. I sold a pair of shoes for $110. These are vintage 1970s suede platform shoes. Gorgeous.
It's disco.
Yeah, disco
shoes,
whatever. 110. They haven't paid yet. It's been 2 days, so I'm a little about that, but hopefully they'll pay. People are good at paying even at the last minute. So
I mean, something that I learned on the blog where people like Steve were
Steve Schultz.
Yeah, selling like it's Tasco binoculars.
Yes, the binoculars.
So when I saw a pair, and I think I paid $10 for them.
Yeah.
But we sold a pair for $125.
Yeah.
You know?
That's a great sale.
Those are nice.
Yeah, so those sold over the weekend. Another thing we sold that was kind of weird was this bronze medal. It was not a medal like from the Olympics. It had like a dinosaurs on it. At first, we didn't really look at it. We were like, this is kind of cool. It's heavy. It's a like paperweight.
Paperweight,
yeah. And we buy stuff like that because people buy
$2.
it. Yeah, it was like between $2 and $5, right? But then you looked at it closer and it said Society of Medalists, American Society of Medalists, and they are like a serious thing that people collect. And the artist who made it works for the U.S. Mint, the Franklin Mint or whatever it's called, and he makes coins. He designs actual American coins. So this guy's a collectible artist. So I did my research. Honestly, at first I was like, $40. Thinking that, right? So then I did my research, and if you have a very rare, like super artistic, like metal by this, they sell for $1,000, $1,500 to $1,000. So I'm like, oh, I've got something. So I researched it more and found this exact metal on another website for $100. But I'm like, not everyone's going to find that website because it was pretty obscure. So I'm like, $150. Got an offer within hours, 2 hours for $130. Sold.
Yep. Something else we sold was another lamp. You know, we're big into lamps. But, you know, it's tough, though, because people will write us, like, what kind of lamps do I get? And I'm like, it's really hard to know. Yeah. Because, you know, it's not just an old lamp, because there's lots of old lamps that are pieces of junk. But I found a really nice, like, a western, like, piece of pottery lamp.
Yeah.
Really cool looking. I got it for under $10. And it sold. It probably took about 4 months to sell, but I sold it for $130.
Yeah, this is a gorgeous piece. It's like it's got a Native American. I think it might be Navajo because I spent some time on the Navajo reservation. It looks Navajo to me, and it's got an orange inside. So when it glows, you know, you turn it on. It's got this orange glow. It's so cool. I think it's beautiful. And we took an offer, right? Yep. I think it was up for higher, but
it's one of those things where he offered like $20, like one of these lowball offers that everyone complains about. But you know, I don't care. I'm like,
just counter.
I do the exact opposite. He starts really low, so I barely come down. I'm like, I'll counter him, and I'll just come down by $10.
$10, yeah.
But you know what? He took the offer. Like he didn't haggle anymore. So I really think some people just try and test the waters and see if is like a robot involved, an auto,
which is kind of crazy. You're like, okay, 25, like clearly that's going to get auto declined anyway. But you know, that was one of the sales where the person just took it.
Something else we sold was a vintage a bed. It's like a metal.
Yeah, it's a metal like tubular bed from the 30s. Like you can kind of picture what it might look like.
Yeah, it's something what you could imagine, and we bought it for
$5, $3.
It was $3.
I mean, it was at a yard sale, and they were like, "Please take this away."
A year ago.
Yeah, it was a while ago.
But the problem is, and this is something that people have talked about, was, you know, this person bought it. Yeah, it's local pickup.
Right.
They're in Miami.
No, they're not in Miami. They're in Brazil.
But they have...
Their shipping is the warehouse in Miami.
And so we were very clear, it's local pickup or you figure out how to...
shipping.
Ship it. They paid for it, and now we just wait.
They haven't said a word.
Yeah.
So the thing that was good is we sent them to uship.com. Plus, we know one guy who does East Coast shipping on uship.com, and I gave them that information. Like you said, they bought it, they paid for it, haven't heard a word. And we're like, we're glad to coordinate, whatever. Yeah. We'll talk to any shipper.
But, you know, I think it's for us, we just do the silent treatment where we've done, you know, if eBay checks out the history of our conversation, we've done everything we're supposed to do. I mean, I guess they could end up canceling this, I don't know, but, you know, it's really not our business at
in a way
point.
It's not our problem.
Right.
I mean, they paid, that's great. Did we say how much it sold for $100?
Yeah, $100.
Which isn't, you know, that's great.
Yeah,
I want it out of my storage.
That's right. And, you know, we've been selling a lot of shoes,
clothes
this month, so it's been kind of a mishmash of a lot of things.
I sold another pair of, like, spectacles, like John Lennon type Gandhi spectacles for $50. They were sunglasses, actually.
I do wonder, you know, when you make those videos about the things we sell or we talk about it, then I see people in the comments, they're like, I went to a yard sale and I bought all that stuff. I bought some suitcases and some spectacles. I wonder if we have any influence on, like, the amount of stuff that gets put out there with these kind of items.
You mean like on eBay?
Yeah.
I don't know. You know what I suspect, though, and this is a weird feeling, going to yard sales and estate sales and whatever, when they have printouts of certain eBay items, it's not ours necessarily, but I'm like, I wonder if, like, we're influencing not us only, but other, you know, eBay sellers that, you know, are listening to this. I wonder if we're influencing the market, because you can. Because people are like, this Mickey Mouse watch sold for $800.
Right.
And you're like, oh no, sorry, everyone who's trying to buy Mickey Mouse watches right now.
We're helping push the price up. But I guess the reason why we don't mind sharing with people exactly what we buy and sell is because there's so much stuff out there.
Yep.
And we don't have the kind of business where like we only sell suitcases.
Right.
So if other people get in on the suitcase market, we're screwed, you know? Because, we sold a suitcase, cool. And now we're going to sell this thing. And now we'll sell this thing. And
it's not like, if you pigeonhole yourself, then that could be a problem.
And that's what makes it fun.
Yeah, totally.
And just, because we've been doing this for a while, I looked at our numbers a year ago this past week. And a year ago, we made $2,200.
Yeah, so it's
really
pretty close.
It's about the same amount. And we sold 52 items. This week we sold 40. So we sold,
less.
So our price per item has actually gone up, which is kind of nice.
That is nice to see.
And the only other number I'll share, and then let's move on, is that you listed 122 items this past week.
Basically, I was like chained to my office, like
it was good. I think we're having a good flow.
Yeah,
it's going. We both were working over in our eBay office.
Yeah,
I was taking photos. You're listing. We have the radio on.
Yeah,
we have the doors open because it's been really nice out.
Yeah,
and we were just like focused.
Yeah, I just get really focused because I'm just like, I have all these folders, and it feels so good to be like, done, get it off my desktop, put it I have an archive, like an archive hard drive. I'm just like, put it in the archive, get it up there, list it. Because I go to storage, I go to our storage building, and we look around, and I'm like, this thing's taking up so much room, and I'm like, it's not even listed. Just get it out. Like, it's gotta be available. So that motivates me. So that's good.
Because, this week I was taking photos of shoes, and I was kind of the same way. I was very, focused, and I think I cleaned.
You cleaned so
photographed much. And wrote,
the titles
and it's measured. All the men's shoes we had, I think it was about 150.
Those were all the men's shoes. You did all the men's shoes? Oh my god!
All men's shoes, and those are ones that we'd kind of been. I had kind of got off a shoes kick for about 6 months.
Yeah.
So we've been kind of hoarding them.
Yeah.
And now this next week I have to do ladies' shoes.
What's funny is there's an entire Rubbermaid bin just of Ferragamos.
Yeah.
And more, because there's stacked boxes. It was just that's like a year of Ferragamos.
Right.
Basically. Which is just funny.
But, as I was doing that, it was really, I've said this before, shoes is how we got started on eBay, shoes and clothes.
Yeah.
But shoes have always been, it's my thing about cleaning them.
Yeah.
And really, as I was doing it's this week, it really reminded me of, after doing this for 5 years now, this really feels the most comfortable.
Yeah.
Is just working on shoes. And I was just thinking, this is my life. I'm an adult American man. And I'm not hustling in some corporate job.
Yep.
I'm not looking to become vice president or get some promotion. This is what I do.
Yep.
I'm cleaning these shoes and I'm selling those shoes, and I love it.
Yep. Yep. You know why though? Because there's total freedom. You just feel a sense of freedom where you're just like, I'm just chilling out here.
Right.
And I'm making money. My phone's doing the cha-ching. We have renters at the house.
Right. I even got a denim apron. It's a little cobbler's apron.
Yes.
And
yes.
I've got a little stool that I sit on, and I shine the shoes, and
it's so zen. That is to me, that is total freedom. And it really hits home because this week we've been coordinating for some video jobs. And last week we were turning video jobs down. It's a different level of stress, because there's a level of stress with the, working with clients, doing everything perfect, making sure you don't completely fuck it up, And then there's listing stuff on eBay and shining shoes.
Right.
It's this different world where you're
I personally don't ever feel stress. I more feel like it's kind of like this weird level of excitement where I'm like, I want to do all these things, and it's almost like if it's stress always feels bad.
It's not stress.
It's more just like a lot of just energy where I'm just like, I wish this could happen faster.
Right.
You know,
so,
we have all these plans.
Right. So I'm like cutting this down the middle. So there's like the shining shoes and eBay and rental, and it's not stress so much as it is like just, you want to move forward. But then the other side is like working for other people, and there is a level of like, daunting feeling. So it feels very different to have these different kinds of jobs.
I mean, when you were growing up, maybe you were in like junior high or high school, and people would ask you, what do you want to do when you grow up? Did you have any idea, or like what would you tell people? Or
well, it was different for me because I was very focused and felt like I had a lot of direction just because that's who I am.
So,
I did graphic design in high school. So I was like, I'm going to work with computers doing design or something.
Okay.
So I kind of knew, and here I am doing that pretty much. Well, and also my mom was an artist and she went to arts and crafts shows. And granted, I was like, I'll never do that. Basically, that's what I'm doing. So maybe online. That's
the success of like what do you call those kind of schools where it's not?
It's a vocational.
Yeah. So you were taught a very specific skill, and that's what's coming true for you.
The thing is, this is like a whole other podcast, but I went to a vocational technical high school, and I felt like I didn't have to go to college because of that. I wanted to, so I did. A lot of kids did not have to go to college after that, and they just got jobs right away, good jobs. And people thought of that as a really bad thing. In the town that I came from, I heard a lot of other people's parents being like, oh, but you don't really want to go to college, so you can go do that. And I was like, and it's funny because I remember the woman that said that to me, I went to the exact same college as her daughter. We went to the exact same school. And actually, her daughter dropped out. So, I think
so
that
you got a chip on your shoulder.
Yeah, I do. I still have. That's a very old chip on my shoulder. But it's interesting because I feel like every high school and every middle school should be a vocational school because I don't think you really have to go to college. Honestly, by the time you're 18, you should be done.
Yeah, I mean, the guy that I just talked to, Chicago Tony V.
Yeah.
He runs several successful companies. He does very well for himself, and he said that, and I think it's true. Like by the time he was in 8th grade,
he was good to go.
Knowing what he knows now, and I agree, we knew everything we needed for what we're doing now.
I felt the same way. I loved college. I stayed at college as long as I could because I loved it. I love the people. I went to an art college. Like it's so fun and awesome, and I did learn a lot. However, I think I could have done that kind of thing, having a job or an internship or like on my own. Same with you. You feel the same way about college, I think.
Yeah.
You were like, why did I go to college?
Well, so I went to a kind of high school where I was very like into intellectual, like I'm learning
academic.
Latin.
Yeah.
I'm learning French.
It was like a preppy school. Right?
It was.
Which is so funny knowing you now.
It was a funny school.
Yeah.
It was like a little small private Christian school.
Yeah.
And
look how he turned out.
And I just remember when, I would get asked, like, what do you want to do when you grow up?
What did you say?
I'd be like in junior high school. I just didn't know, like, because
how would you know?
We weren't really being trained for anything specific. It was just like how to just be a good citizen or something, or how to be whatever.
A good academic, basically.
So I would make up things like, I want to be an architect, like, because it seemed kind of artistic, because I felt like an arty kid, but at the same time, it sounded like it was very productive,
Right.
So I guess when I'm sitting here now as a grown man, like cleaning and selling old shoes on the internet, I'm just like,
what the hell?
This is what I've always wanted to do.
Yeah,
like
this makes so much sense.
This is the kind of life I love.
Yeah. It's
like, it's very concrete. It's very just simple. And then it leads to all these other things that we can do, traveling and buying property.
But it's funny because it sounds so, I don't know what the word is that it sounds weird. It sounds like like I'm a garbage picker.
I just feel like I've had to unlearn a lot of things. I mean, I just know, like I spent a lot of time trying to, working like professional jobs and trying to do the right thing, and you're
be taken seriously.
You're in these office environments, and I've got this certain job, and so how do I work my way up? And it's like a lot of office politics, and I was never very good at that, and I would just get when I stay late, come in early, work hard, but yet it just never felt like. I never felt like I feel now when I'm cleaning all shoes. Like, it feels so right.
It's just, you know what it is? This is my theory. It's the internet. Like, it's just so different from our parents' generation and their parents' generation of, like you said, work hard, be a good worker, find your, career. The internet just, like, dissolved that. For our generation.
That's a good point. I didn't think about that. Yeah, because the internet
you're selling old shoes on the internet.
Right. The internet had not been around when I was in high school, so it wasn't in the equation.
Right.
And when the internet came on, it just changed all that. You're like, oh, I don't have to do all that because
I can just sit at home and clean shoes and sell them to people in New York,
or do any kind of work.
Right.
Build web pages for people.
It's just. I feel that it's given our generation and other generations, whatever, the ability to be independent. I mean, we run a business on Airbnb, we run a business on eBay, we run a video business through the internet. Essentially, that's how we connect with people, and we have our freedom. So it's amazing, and it's so different than what we were taught to expect, what we were taught to, think of as being an adult. And, whatever.
And, I think that's why, and we'll get off this in a second.
Yeah, this is a tangent.
I feel like that's why a lot of maybe us or people, and we always talk about, like, would we ever go to college again? Like, if we had a chance to do it over, or if we had kids, would we... I don't know if I would send them to college unless colleges taught this kind of stuff. And I feel like what we're talking about changes so quickly. It takes too long for them to stratify it into a college course. So it's almost like, what's the point?
I mean, I feel like the fact that the things I learned in college aren't taught in high school is so messed up. Like, I went to a vocational high school. It's different. But the fact that, like, you aren't taught how to budget for your life or, like, get a checking account or, like, those things, to not know those in high school is unacceptable for this country. Like, that is a crazy thing.
Well, I think that's why there seems to be a lot of people that might hear this podcast and they comment on the blog, and they have homeschooled their kids. Right. So
and
I feel like we'll hear a lot we are saying yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what else did we do this week?
Okay. So something else this week is it was when eBay grades you and gives you its report card, and you can do that by going
like being in school.
Really, it is like being in school. So it's your eBay report card.
Yeah.
Its performance, and you can check that on your seller account.
Yes.
For us, we were lucky to be top rated again, which is nice.
I'm very happy.
Only reason why it's nice for us is that it's a 20% discount, and so that's really pays for a lot of our fees for the month
on your final value fees,
and that's really nice. But it's interesting. And it took me a while to get my head around this. So, like, when we travel, like we're about to go do for 10 days, we change our handling time.
Yeah.
Once we change our handling time, we don't ship within the next day.
Right.
The 90%.
Right.
So we can still remain top-rated seller because we're shipping within our handling time.
Yeah.
But we don't get the 20% discount. So
on those items that sold during that time.
True.
So that's where it gets into, like, the fine print, where those, like, okay, for example, we had a renter for 9 days. I actually changed our handling time because I was like, we're not going to have access to, like, half our inventory because of this. Changed our handling time. So in those 10 days, that the handling time was 10 days, we didn't get a discount on those items, which kind of sucks because there were some high dollar items, but better than, getting below your...
That's why we say we don't fool around with putting our store on vacation.
Yeah.
because that doesn't change the handling time. What's important is that the buyer and eBay, everyone knows this is going to take 10 days to get shipped, or 4 weeks, or it's whatever it's going to be.
Yeah, exactly.
Something else we did this week, which was fun, we went to another auction, but this was like, we call it our home auction.
Because it's the one that we go to Friday night date nights, essentially.
Right. This was the original auction we kind of learned from. Like, I remember we were selling, clothes and shoes.
Yep. You stumbled upon this auction.
We met Mikey and Wendy, and they taught us about a yard sale. So we were just kind of starting to buy
other stuff besides
knickknacks.
Clothes.
It was a whole new world for us. And I was in a town over, and there was a big Sunset auction.
What was funny is they do Friday night auctions. They just happened to be doing a Saturday during the day auction.
Right. It was like a one-time thing, and so we would have never I would never stumble upon it. So I go in there, and I just remember, so it's run by a family.
Yeah.
It seems like a lot of these small auction houses are run by families.
Yeah.
And a woman behind the counter, kind of taught me how
to do it. You're like, what do I
do? So the auction's going on, and she just seemed to kind of see that I was kind of really lost, and she called me over. She gave me a number.
Yeah.
Taught me like what was going on. Yeah. And I kind of jumped in. I remember I bought a jacket.
I think you bought a trunk too, didn't you? It was like a blanket chest.
Piece of furniture that's
up in our bedroom. Yeah.
I paid too much for it, but
how much did you pay?
I didn't know.
How much did you pay?
Like $120.
You paid $120 for a cedar chest.
It's a nice chest.
Oh my god! Well, anyway, I did not know that until this moment. But that was like 4 years ago.
I remember the feeling like when new people come on and they're like, I go to auctions and it seems really it's too much.
It's chaotic, yeah.
And I totally understand that.
Yeah.
But I remember though, I don't know. I intuitively kind of understood that there was a lot of stuff here.
A lot of cool stuff.
A lot of cool stuff. I didn't understand it, but I thought this is something new, and it was fun.
It was fun.
And so I remember that's when we started the Friday night date night.
Yeah.
We went, I said, we got to go. And we went. And I think because we went together, we had a little more confidence.
Yeah.
We could kind of talk strategy.
Yeah.
And that's when we learned about the box lots,
It's all about the box lots, man.
And so anyway, we went this last Friday.
So what's funny is, actually, I was surprised that we went and did so well because we had to flip the rental house right before that. So we had to clean the house in 3 hours.
And meet the renters.
Meet the renters, do that whole thing. It's super exhausting because you're just like, everything must be perfect. So we did that. It was fine. They were great. They came exactly at check-in time to the minute. We were like, awesome, let's go. I was starving. So we got a pizza, which is the best food ever. So we got a pizza, and we were like, good, we're fueled up, we're ready to go. We got some coffee. We were like, let's do this auction.
Yep.
And we were like super on top of it. I thought I was going to be tired and cranky and whatever. Pizza and coffee did it.
Yep.
Because we were on top of our shit that night.
Yep.
Like, we got the best stuff.
Pros.
Well, we're pros, but so there was this one box. Okay, this is going to be the longest podcast ever.
I mean, real quick. So the cool thing is this was an auction where they were selling off a person's antique store or a vintage shop.
Store. Like we know who it was because she was there, and we were like, "Oh, this is your stuff."
She was moving out of state, and she was dumping her stuff. So
she had great stuff.
So it was already good stuff.
We were like, "Oh, damn!" We're usually like bidding against her at the auction, and now she's like selling all her stuff. So I mean, there was this one box. I mean, box lots go for $5, max $10, $15. We spent $100 on this one box. Because basically I was like, nobody's getting this box. I want this box. Dudes were coming up to us after, oh, will you sell this thing out of the box? And I just said, I was real. I was just like, nope, get away. Yep. This box goes into the car.
Well, so it's been a year since we've been to this auction, or maybe at least 6 months. It's been a while.
A few months.
So that's why I say I feel like this is the first auction at this place we've been to since we started changing our ideas of investing more,
spending more.
So we actually spent $400, which is normally a lot of money for us.
Yeah, $400 is a lot.
That's we're buying like a lot of furniture or something. That's quite a bit of money. But I felt like we were really buying a lot of quality and
high quality.
And I was feeling flush. I felt like, I know this is good. I know I can get a lot for this. I'm going all in.
Yep.
And we were, bidding against the other top bidders there and winning.
Because we're familiar with the other people at the auction, so I knew who I was bidding against. And these guys will go high.
Yeah. Because most of these, and most people that go to these places,
they're other sellers.
Auctions are sellers. I mean, every auction has, people off the street or just collectors.
There's some people who are off the street.
But most people that go to auctions are sellers.
So they know what they're looking at. They know how much it's worth. Clearly, I think they know we're sellers, but they think they get confused because we buy also stuff for ourselves. So they're like, what the hell? This is confusing.
And plus, we have very eclectic taste. So it's
they're like, what? So this box had a lot of military bags and like cool military shit. But what was worth the most money are, what the hell are they called?
They're climbing spikes.
They're climbing spikes.
They're like, for people who either cut trees down or pullman,
Yeah. So these things are worth a lot of money.
And they're worth about $300.
$300 to $400, depending.
The whole box might be worth $400 or more.
$400 to $500, I'd say.
So it was one of those things. I mean, we paid $100 for the box. It's a little much, but I felt like we wanted to have it.
Basically, I got in my head, no one else is getting this box, and that's what happened. So,
but the good thing is, we got other things. We got a lot of artwork.
There are a lot of artwork
for very cheap.
I got some really cool military clothes for super cheap.
Yep. And then the cool thing we got too was they had more rugs. They had all these. There were probably about 10 of them in total of these vintage antique Persian rugs, and again, a lot of them were really gross.
The thing about these rugs, those were my rugs. I was like, these are my rugs. No one else is getting them. No one else understands how much value there is here. There are a couple people that were rich people that were there. They were pretending like they weren't rich, and they looked all shabby. But we were like, those are rich people. They stick out like a sore thumb. Everyone can see it. You're like, rich people. So whatever, they're eyeing the rugs, and I'm like, you know what? These are too distressed for these people. I know it. They're not going to bid on them, and they didn't. Basically, no one else bid against me. So we started the bidding at 20 because it was choice on rugs, meaning you pay this price, you pick as many as you want. So we started at 20. We're like, yep, 20. Everyone's like, 20.
Right. So sometimes it's good to start high because then you kind of scare off anyone that might. Because if you allow the thing to start at like $5, everyone
wants it at $5.
And once people are in on the bidding, then just it
gets up.
The whole emotion gets involved and it can go higher. So if there are things that we want, we're willing to start higher.
So Jay put his hand up at 20 and I'm like, damn. But I was willing to go up to 50 each. So no one bid against us. I took 4 of them. People looked at me like I was crazy because I was picking the ones with the holes. I'm like, give me the one with the holes. And everyone's like, this lady's crazy. So we took 4.
I don't think anyone was saying that.
So whatever. That's what I felt like. I felt crazy. So then there was this other lot of 3, and I only wanted 1. And this lady bid them up to $30. And Jay's like, damn, you should have bid on it. And then she took the 2 rugs I didn't want. And then I got the last rug I wanted for $5.
Yep.
I was like high then. I'm like, fuck yeah!
And these rugs, it was strange. They even had the price tag that
the original price tag
lady put on it.
$300, $400 each for these rugs.
It was interesting.
So I know I'm going to sell them for that much on eBay.
But that's the thing about auctions is that it really depends who's there.
Yeah.
Because there were maybe 30 people there.
There weren't that many people.
And so, everyone has their own little tastes. And sometimes you'll be at an auction that has awesome stuff and just...
nobody cares.
Just the people there don't have the same tastes as what's there.
That's the best.
So it does feel fun to go when you have some money in at your pocket and it feels like you can kind of not control the auction, but where you're like the one who's bidding the highest and getting everything that you want, and it feels
at the price you want. You're like,
feels good.
We bought a mid-century modern painting for $60 that we're actually going to hang in the other house because we've been looking for this one wall that needs a big painting. and it's gorgeous. And I think she had like a $300 price tag on it or something. Right. So we're like, great, I love it, $60.
That's good.
So anyway, that was actually thrilling and really fun. And Jay was like, "Oh, I thought you were going to be so cranky." And I was like, "I had a great time.
Good.
I spent a lot of money, but
yeah,
I had a good time. We had the money, so."
Good thing is we came home and we took pictures of a lot of the stuff the very next day.
The rugs, we just were like, boom.
So we'll put those up on Monday or
whatever.
Yeah,
that would be fun.
So just some quick news about our other business, the rental property.
Yes.
Some of it you seem interested, so I think it's interesting to talk about. The good thing is this week we had a renter stay the entire week. So it was great. It's one of those things that is like probably any landlord's dream, where someone will just rent the whole week, because it's hard to rent, it seems like, during
the weekdays.
Because everyone wants the
weekends,
It's weekends. So it was great. So there's someone there all week.
Till Friday.
It was just a couple. And I'm always worried, like, there isn't enough to do, because it's just like a little
podunk town.
It's just like a little small town. You're just surrounded by trees. And I always forget, because I live here, I'm thinking, it's nothing to do. But I forget, like, if you're from a city,
you don't want anything to do.
That's what you're paying for. It's like, you don't want to do anything.
You just want to chill out. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
go hiking if you want. Go out to dinner. Yeah.
So it was good. And then we don't have anyone booked this coming week. Well, on Friday.
Till Friday.
But we purposely did that because we're doing some landscaping over there. We have a guy who's... Yeah. There's a stream that runs along the edge of our property, but it's all like kind of grown over and kind of really
rocky,
hard to get to. So we're investing, and it's a write-off.
Yeah.
We're going to clear that part out so people could have like a fire pit and like a picnic table
and hang
right
out
by
there.
The stream. It'll be nice.
It'll be cool. It'll improve the property. They did some work on the other side of the property, and they got rid of all this bramble and this big like hill of dirt that was just a piece of junk. It looks amazing. It makes the yard so much nicer. So that was a lot of money, but I was like, after they did it, I'm like, that was so worth it. Yeah. I did not have that vision at all. Jay had the vision. I was just like, whatever, leave it. I don't care. I don't even see it.
Yeah. It's kind of my job. I have these little glimpses of the things, and Ryan helps to make the money to pay for it.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, I have visions too. They're just different visions.
And it all works out. So customer issues as far as eBay goes.
Oy.
We talked about this. It's FedEx. We had shipped a sink it's FedEx. They didn't tell us, but we followed it, and it said it just stopped and said it could not be delivered because
it was damaged.
They broke it.
Okay, so I'm not going to make this too long, but, I filed a claim with FedEx, and clearly it said it was broken on their website. They said it was broken, not me, and they denied my claim. I was so pissed. I'm like, how is this even possible?
It was strange. So they didn't want to do the insurance claim on it, but they didn't even send it to the buyer or to us. So it was a very strange...
It was like, I don't even have any proof.
It's just this weird... I think it's just because it's a big company and just one of those things where, like, someone's passing the buck. So Ryan called and worked it out.
Yeah, so I'm super persistent. I'm like, there's no way that I'm not getting the $100 that's included in all your items that are shipped via ground. So I called. I got a really nice lady on the phone in claims, and I was like, I just pleaded my case. Look, they told me it was damaged. I never got the sink. My customer never got the sink. I never even saw proof. They didn't send me any proof. Yet it says it's damaged and it's just sitting somewhere or whatever. So she said she opened what's called a goodwill claim, and they paid me. I got a check for $121 because it was $21 to ship. So they actually paid me for the shipping price. Yeah. So whoever I got on the phone was awesome. She did right by me. And now I have to send, I actually already did it. I sent proof of that payment to ShipSaver.
And they're supposed to cover the
rest of the price. So far, so good. It's a pain in the ass. You have to be persistent, and you have to be polite, and you have to make the phone calls.
It's just a part of having a business.
And it worked out, so I got my check on that.
So we had a buyer that bought some artwork from us, and they were in Israel.
Yes.
And so global shipping. Shipped through the global shipping program. And, the people that, hate, they're like, global shipping's a scam and blah, blah, blah. So one thing that those people say is that Global Shipping, when it gets to the Kentucky warehouse, so that they'll open up your package and rebox it. Now, let's be clear, that's not true for every package.
They don't do it for all of them.
Because that'd be crazy. I mean, there's, hundreds of thousands of packages
insane.
coming through that they aren't repackaging everything. But they must do it for some, and that must have happened for us because the guy got the package and he took a photo and he said, I bought 5 pieces of art. There were pictures.
It was 6.
6, and there's only 2. 2.
Yeah.
And so, but the good thing is, this is why we love global shipping. Ryan called and they were like, we'll take care of it.
Yeah, I was
and
like,
they did.
Essentially, they lost half the order. I sent 6, there are 6 drawings. There's only 2, I said, please take care of this because I sent him everything. It got lost in global shipping program and they did. They took care of it.
I mean, and that's why, that's so different from it's FedEx experience where,
Yes.
At FedEx we had to call and call and call. I mean, this is great. And it's been true for us every time there's a problem with global
They take care of it.
shipping. They're always like, as long as the tracking says it got to the Kentucky
Warehouse, you're covered.
they cover it from there.
It's amazing.
We got a
return on a rabbit fur coat. You'll see it in the video because I show it in the video. She paid $50 for it. But the great thing is, people, on the hassle-free returns plus my restocking fee, I did not lose any money or any sleep on this.
She sent it back because she said the arms were too short, but as she said, it was her own fault because whatever, she didn't check its measurements. So she paid us $10 to send it back. And it was fine.
So it's lovely. We sold a kitchen knife to someone in Oman.
I mean, this is such a great, internet story.
Yeah.
I mean, this is what it's all about, this whole global world we have now.
Yeah.
Some guy in Oman bought just, one of the knives that we've been
a vintage kitchen
selling.
knife.
Yeah. And it's crazy. He bought it for $40.
Right.
And then it's going to cost $40 to ship it to him. Now, it doesn't go through global
No, because they don't do Oman. But I shipped it priority mail through USPS, and I was able to insure it through ShipSaver because they cover Oman. So,
and he clearly was talking to us through Google Translate because the English was very, it was so crazy and kooky. But that's the amazing thing is that people can now communicate without even speaking the language.
Yeah.
It's not perfect, but
we were able to make the sale. He paid.
I mean,
he gave me his address.
I mean, I'll feel better when he gets it and is happy with it. But that's an amazing, what a world we live in.
Although I will say that I do have to qualify it. We sold something to Oman last year. It was a hat. And he gave us negative feedback. Different guy.
A vintage, yeah.
It was a vintage hat.
And I think that was a cultural thing. He bought a vintage hunting hat.
Yeah.
A wool hunting hat. And when he got it, he gave us negative feedback. He didn't say anything to us. He didn't want a refund or anything. He just gave us negative feedback and said it was dirty. And I think that's a cultural thing.
We're it's a used hat.
It's a used hat.
It's got,
what do you expect?
wear. It's used, It shows it very well. You're it's not new.
Right.
So that sucked. That's one of my negative feedbacks. But I'm please, other person in Oman, give me positive feedback when you get your kitchen knife.
So just a bit of news is this week. I created a page that is a shared page. I call it the Archive of All Knowledge.
Oh my God.
Although it's just a page where people have started to put links to places that have good info for scavengers. Just how to identify things. And we are going to post it to the blog this week, maybe a little more prominently, and I will clean it up a little bit. Basically, on the left-hand side, we've made pages for different items like jewelry or flatware.
Right.
And then on that page, people can put the links about that certain object.
Yeah, because people were saying in the comments that they were, trying to look back through other comments and the comments aren't searchable and they're I was looking for this tidbit of information. We're we just need to make a page.
And this is a public page. All that you have to do is just email us. I'll make you a moderator or an editor, and then it's real easy to add stuff. So
yeah, it's easy. I found it to be easy.
The other thing is, I just got to say it again. We really love the new feature that eBay did this past year.
Yeah.
When someone sends you a message on an item,
yeah,
you can send them an offer.
Yes.
So it's almost like you can push an offer at them. And we find that we are using that quite a bit.
Yeah, I would say we sell a couple things a week that way. Because, like just now, someone messaged me, oh, would you take this amount for these, whatever. And I was like, you know what? I would. It doesn't have to make an offer because it's lower than $50 or whatever. But I was like, let's just move this thing. Sure.
I mean, and we even send offers to people that don't even ask for a deal. They're just asking about the item. But I'm like, well, if they're asking about the item, they're interested. So
let's take a couple bucks off. $5 off. Right.
And that works sometimes.
Yeah. So. I think Jay's better at doing that. I don't think to do that unless someone's asking. So I think it's good that you do that. That sells things sometimes.
And then this other thing is, I will link to all the stuff we talk about. We'll put links on the blog. We found this article where they were describing a specific time frame, a specific person, the people after Generation X, which is me, but before
millennials,
and that's
Ryanne. That's me. I'm not a millennial. She called it the Oregon Trail generation. And
born in like the late 70s, early 80s. Like a 5-year period.
So I was born in 79. So, Generation X is older than me. Millennials, like my sister's a millennial. She was born in 84.
Right.
Like she basically had a totally different childhood and teenage years than I did. But it was so funny because you sent me that article, and as every single sentence, I was like, that's me. This it must be exactly my age because she's describing it to a T.
Because she says this. Read it. Yeah.
So this is a quote. Did you come home from middle school and head straight to AOL, praying all the time that you'd hear those magic words, "You've got mail," after waiting for the painfully slow dial-up internet to connect? Now, granted, I think I was a freshman in high school when we first got the internet, which to some people is like the craziest thing. But I remember my brother opened my mom's, wallet and signed up for, it was called eWorld. It was before AOL. It was eWorld on a Macintosh, and it was amazing. I was obsessed with it. I just would stay up all night on dial-up, just chatting with people.
And she calls it the Oregon Trail generation because when you were in school,
we had Apple IIes that had Oregon Trail.
Yeah.
Or Oregon, if you want to say it correctly.
Oregon.
Well, it's because we're not from the West Coast. We call it Oregon.
Oregon. So anyway, we thought that was interesting, and maybe there's some other people out there that are like, it's Ryanne, because it's so interesting. Technology has been changing so fast in the past 40 years that really, 5-year slices, can make people so different. It changed people.
Yeah. Because another part, we could talk about this. This could be a whole other podcast as well. Another part about it was we were the last set of people, because Friendster and MySpace started right after I left college. It was 2002. I had just graduated college. So college and high school were not defined by social media. We were the last people to have that. So Facebook happened a year and a half after I left college. So it was kind of like this shift, it was so different for people after us. So it's just a cool article that I really related to. I was like, oh my God, she described me perfectly.
So things we talked about in the comments this past week, again, it was another good week where people were really kind of going back and forth on things.
Yeah.
And Linda said something good, and we've said it before, that buyers who kill you on the price of an item, you know, the buyer that writes and says, this thing's kind of dirty. Give it to me for $10. And it'll be one of those days where you're so hungry for a sale and you'll like give them a super good deal.
Yeah.
Those are normally the people who give you the bad feedback.
Either they give you bad feedback or they give you the biggest hassle when they get something, you know, yeah.
But, you know, we have a couple of negative and neutral feedbacks from the past 12 months. And I would say almost every one of those is from one of those buyers. It's on just a little $12 item.
I swear to God, $12 to $14.
And so, if Linda said it right, that if you are getting hammered by bad feedback or whatever, you need to up it's clientele.
Yeah,
like it is strange.
Yeah.
Like people that buy $300 items are the ones that don't complain. You know?
Yeah,
it's very interesting. So that was good.
And the other set of things we learned in the comments also came from Linda.
Yeah, and she said, and this is so true.
Yes.
When you're describing an item,
yes,
it's like you want to describe it like a news story.
Right.
So you just want to say the size, the color, and then say any flaws.
Right.
So it's very just to the point, just the facts. It's almost like it could just be tiny little bullet points.
It's like bullet. We actually are doing bullet points now. Yeah.
And that's a versus. I think, you know, I always wanted to do this when we first started. I thought we needed to like put a whole paragraph and talk about the history of the item.
And some things you can do that if it's a super special thing. You're like, this is where it came from. This is who owned it.
But we find that what you don't want to do is say, like, this is in really great shape and this is really beautiful. Because
something that I see people say is, this is in excellent used condition. I recently bought something. These were chair covers for IKEA chairs. They said excellent used condition. When I got them, there were stains all over them.
Right.
You're like, okay.
And so that's why you don't want to qualify it with a positive. You only want to say what are its negatives, because your idea of good quality or excellent could be different from mine.
Someone else.
But what no one can argue with is if you say there's a small stain, there's a scratch.
There's a scuff here, a scuff there, there's wear. Yeah, we have found that to be true over time, because when I first started, I would always be like, same thing, excellent vintage condition. What the hell does that mean?
Right.
That's like, that makes no sense.
Yeah. So it's almost like we would rather have the feedback that says, this is better than I thought it would be. That's much better than the inevitable where they're like, this is in really rough shape.
Right,
you know, this is, there are more flaws than they said.
Exactly. Yep, that is a great advice.
So our coming week, we're doing some work at a rental house. We purposely didn't book anyone for the next 5 days, so we have some painting to do, just
yard work.
After having the place rented for 2 months, we got a lot of the kinks worked out. Yeah. It's running really well, but there's some little, like, it's last-minute changes, additions we want to make. And
very minor things.
We'll be doing that, and then I have a lady's shoes to take pictures of. I probably have, must be 200 pairs of ladies' shoes.
You know, it's funny. I took pictures of the ladies' shoes, and I'm going to use it for this week's picture on the blog.
Oh, yeah?
Because you have them all laid out. Like, there's just... And that's only a fraction of them that's laid out. It's like our office is like shoe office.
And it's really me taking pictures of me taking pictures of a women's shoes is so interesting, because I'm like, why do women put themselves through this? Like, some of them are these, like, kitten heel, peep toe, high heels, and I'm like, these look like little torture devices. It's so interesting. Like, wow.
I mean, you've seen my shoe collection, right?
Yeah.
I wear no shoes that resemble any of that.
Right.
I wear wooden-soled clogs. Yeah. Like, I would... When I at my brother's wedding, I wore flats, right? Everyone else has got heels and platforms, whatever. I was like, F that. I'm wearing flats, right? I still could barely keep them on my feet. I got blisters. I'm like, how? How does anybody do this?
It's really...
It's crazy to me.
It's super interesting.
I have many, many theories about it, but that's another podcast as well.
It makes the calves look good.
F that.
That's what they say.
No.
And then we have basically 2 full weeks before we leave to go do a video job, and we're going to go to LA,
Los Angeles,
for about 10
days.
Yep. Part of that work, a bit of fun.
Yep.
And so, we're in that mode of
prepping,
kind of trying to get everything done before we leave. Okay, so let's answer the questions that people either called and left a message or they emailed to us.
And you can call us and leave a message, and our phone number is 540-407-8486, and it doesn't ring anyone, it's just a voicemail. You have 3 minutes, which is a good long time to leave a voicemail, so just give us a call.
Hi, Scavenger Life. This is Kimberly out in California. I was just listening to your last episode, 192, where this man was saying he sold something on eBay for a local pickup, and then the guy took a long time to pick it up. Well, this just happened to me, and I called eBay about it, so just wanted to chime in. I sold a vending machine, so they paid for it. I sent them my address, and, so you can come get it any time. And then I immediately thought, okay, so it says it's not shipped. I don't have any tracking, so I called eBay, and they said since I gave them my address and to come any time, that it was pretty much shipped on my part. So I needed to just mark it shipped, because I was all hyper about my, shipping time. I like to ship, same day, so I just wanted to let you know that eBay told me just to mark it shipped, because I did what I could about that. But he came, in 5 days, and everything worked out. But another thing is that I like to communicate with them that they need to come pick it up quickly, because I'm not going to store stuff for them for very long. Okay, have a nice day.
So my understanding about local pickup was anything that I've called eBay about this too, so I don't know if we're getting two different answers, but when it says local pickup, it's not counted towards your shipping time. That's my understanding, because there's no shipping happening. That's what I was told on the phone. So I don't mark it as shipped until the person picks it up, so that it's, more fair that way. That was my thinking, but it sounds like Kimberly got different advice from the customer service rep, so I don't really know.
Yeah, and we have that thing too, that someone bought and paid for a bed that is local pickup, and these people are in Miami / South America. I mean, it's kind of hazy, but we've tried to communicate it with them best we can, and so we don't know what's going to happen, but we're just going to keep it marked unshipped until
I'm just gonna
something happens,
but
I mean, that's the other thing too. I mean, there's enough leeway where if we have 1 or 2 items a month that kind of drags on, it doesn't hurt our stats.
It's not that bad. But I hear you, Kimberly. I am exactly the same way. If someone buys something and my mail carrier hasn't come yet, and I have, it's available to me to get from my storage, at my house, I'm like, gotta ship it. Gotta get it out ASAP so they can get it, right. 2 days from now. I'm super obsessive like that, too. And sometimes it goes a little crazy when I'm like, okay, chill out, don't ship, you got other stuff to do. So I hear you, I'm like that too.
Okay, we have a question by email. It's kind of more of a big picture question. It's questions I like. So this person's like, I live in California.
Yeah.
And we're scavengers, we're selling stuff, but the cost is too high to live here, and we're willing to make a move to another part of the country. So they're asking us why we picked where we live.
Right.
And, and I guess she's trying to figure out how she should strategize about picking a different part of the country based on, is there a lot of good stuff to get?
Right.
And for us, we moved to Virginia before we sold on eBay. So eBay had nothing to do with a choice. We had some family kind of ties here.
Right.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Just enough to bring us here. So it was all very, random.
It was so random.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just... it helped that we had a family place to live. It was like a family summer cabin, essentially. But also, I'm from the East Coast, so I'm like, East Coast makes sense to me.
East Coast.
Yeah. So
really, so if you think about from 2008 to 2015, where we are now, I mean, it was not a straight line. Like, this is not a plan. This was not like we had it all mapped out. I mean, it was kind of like, we're doing this for this reason, and then, this could happen, and then this happened, and then it's all just kind of like...
Yeah.
Problems would come up, we'd solve them, we'd take advantage of opportunities.
Yeah.
So that's what I was telling this person was, really, you should just think about what part of the country you want to be in.
Right.
You know, some people like the desert, like Mikey and Wendy did.
Right.
You know, the Northwest.
Right.
You know,
and
Florida.
The cool thing is you can go check those places out. Go scavenging there.
That's right. Take trips and... I mean, you know, again, I don't know. People say, like, there's nothing, you know, everything's too expensive where I live. I mean, maybe. I just feel like in America, there is just enough waste where maybe in your area, you can't find what I'm finding.
Right.
But I find in every area there's going
something.
to be a plethora of something.
Yeah.
And maybe, you know... it might get frustrating because maybe the person wants to find clothes, and maybe clothes aren't cheap there, but maybe they can find old tools. You know? So I would first try and find the place that's exciting to you, because that's really what's important. Is that the weather and all that stuff.
Yeah. And then just look around in that area. I mean, the United States is so huge, so it's like, okay, the Northwest. There's lots of places in the Northwest you could live.
And really, you know, it's also about how much of a pioneer you want to be. Like Mikey and Wendy moved pretty in the desert.
Yeah, they were certainly pioneering.
We've moved to a relatively small town that's not very, you know, close to any major, you know, place. I mean, and so in America, the more you're willing to move out into the sticks, the cheaper life is going to be.
Yeah, for sure.
Hi, guys. My question is, where do you store your images? Who's your image hosting service? I still post my images to PhotoBucket, but you used to be able to click on the image, and the image would open up in its own browser window. Now when you click on an image, it goes to the PhotoBucket album, my album, with all the advertising and everything all around it. So my question is, who do you use as an image host so that your buyers can just click on the image and then, you know, they opens up in a separate browser window and you don't have to look at all that advertising in the end. All right, thanks, guys. Just discovered you a few days ago. Really like your podcast, and as I'm listening on eBay, I'm listening. I'm listening while I'm listening. Okay, so hope to hear back from you. All right, bye-bye.
Okay, so I have my own server that I pay for, so nobody really hosts my service, and it doesn't pop up in a thing or whatever. It's just embedded on the page.
And when, you know, as we say that, you know, we just mean like when you want to start a website, like if you want to host your own a website, you can just buy
server space.
A server space, yeah. So we don't do any maintenance on it or anything. It's just how expensive is it? It's like $30 a year.
Yeah, it's some ridiculous low price.
It's so cheap.
I have so much storage, it doesn't even matter.
And we just think that that's better because this is our core. It's business. It's better for us to host photos ourselves than to use one of these free services that's either going to have ads or they could change how they do things at any time. And then all of our photos, I mean, we have almost 4,000 items. Each one of them, has 3 to 15 photos. I mean, it's tens of thousands of photos. Yeah.
So the other thing I want to just say real quick is, okay, I started hosting my own photos because eBay didn't do hosting.
Right.
They would allow you to upload like 10 photos, but it would cost you like 15 cents a photo. It was so stupid. But now you get 12 photos free. You should just upload to eBay.
Yeah.
Okay, forget the template. I know I'm like going against everything I do. Just you don't need that stuff. Yeah. I mean, we know lots of people that sell that just do the 12 photos. If you have more than 12 photos, maybe you want to use whatever, PhotoBucket or whatever. But just do it lean and mean. Just get your stuff up there and sell it. Like,
I think if we were to start again right now,
I wouldn't host photos.
We wouldn't host photos. No. We wouldn't have a template. We would just do directly onto eBay.
It'd just be down and dirty.
Yeah.
But that's changed because of mobile, and that's relatively new. So we're like, we do it the way we do it, and that's fine, whatever, it doesn't matter. But
if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah, I mean, so that's what I have to say about it.
Hi, Jay and Ryan. Love the podcast. I listen to it every week. I also live in Virginia, near Washington, D.C., fellow Virginian here. I have a quick question for you. I once sold a lot of underwear, of my son's underwear. Some was brand new, and some was previously used but in great condition. When the buyer received the items, they claimed that I did not ship the new underwear with the package, that I only did like a partial shipment. I went through my whole house. I couldn't find, the new underwear, and quite frankly, I'm sure that I did pack everything together. And the interesting part is they didn't inquire about this till about 3 weeks after they received the package. I ended up issuing a full refund because I didn't want to get a negative, but I was wondering what you would do in a situation like that when you're sending, more than one item or, a lot of something in a package, and the buyer claims that they did not receive all the items. Thanks for your input, and again, wonderful podcast. Love it. Thanks.
So, we kind of talked about this earlier about, it just seemed like it's those really low dollar items where like people just kill you on it. I mean, it's just like they're the ones that, they're looking for a deal. And I'm like that too. I'm looking for a deal too, but they're the ones that get really up in your face about things.
The weird thing is about this situation, two weird things. Number one, you sold used underwear on eBay?
I don't think it was used. I think
No, she said it was used.
Oh.
Yeah, I was like, okay, honestly, I didn't think you were allowed to do that, but whatever, she sold it as a lot. The second thing is, this is a weird situation because it is your word against theirs. You're like, I shipped it all, and they're like, no, you didn't. Oh, what do you do?
I think it's for us, we would just be like, any minute we spend worrying about this or fighting it's with a person is not worth our time. So we would just write it off. We would be like, what, $5? Here's $5.
Yeah.
Just enjoy the used underwear.
Yeah.
I mean, it's for a kid too, so I think kids' underwear is different.
Oh no, I think it is different, but it's just it's a weird situation.
I love it. That's super Scavenger.
Oh my god, totally. And also totally. I don't know. Yeah, that's a weird situation. And there is a case for doing the silent method too, where you're just like, I know I sent it all, but then again, you might get a negative. Yeah, that's a weird one.
I mean, if it's $10 and if maybe $5 would make them happy, it's like I wouldn't
just
even hesitate.
Right, that's true. It's a cheap item.
Even hesitate.
It's a cheap item. Yeah, it might be different for something else, but okay. Next call.
Hey, Jay and Ryan, Dan Matson, Uncle Dan's Market in the Seattle, Washington area. Hey, I'm starting to get into artwork a little bit, and wondered what you guys do for how you pack your artwork, where you get your boxes, and what shipping service you like to use for that. And also, what would be a minimum value for a piece of artwork that you would want to be able to sell it for a bigger piece, like maybe something that's 24 by 36. Obviously, it's going to cost some money to ship it. And so I just wanted to pick your brain about the artwork stuff, and also curious how your lipstick sales are going for your 800 bottles of lipstick, 800 tubes. So anyway, thanks for your podcast. Keep up the great work, and we'll talk later. Bye-bye.
Okay, so this person called again, too.
Hey, Dan, Ryan. Dan called earlier this morning with some questions about artwork. If you wouldn't mind adding to those questions, talking about how you figure out handling charges for your artwork that you ship out, and also talk a little bit about outsider art, if you would, how popular, how you select it, what you look for, that sort of thing. That would be awesome. Thanks, you guys, again. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Okay, so that last call was breaking up quite a bit, but I think I got it.
So this is a multi-level
This is many questions.
But basically about artwork. So number one is, and we will link to it on this podcast, Ryan actually made a video about how
I pack artwork.
Yeah.
Now, I do understand a 24 by 36, that's 2 feet by 3 feet. That's a large piece of artwork, and I have shipped things that big. And a lot of times you'll have to buy a box for that.
Yeah, I mean,
that's a big ass piece of
what we
artwork.
do is when we know we're selling some nice art that's large, we just go and we buy the boxes online at
uline.com.
Yeah.
But an argument for that is if you only have one piece, you're not like selling these pieces. You could go get it packed and put that as a handling fee.
But if you're going to start to get into art, you need to start to
boxes.
learn to do it. It yourself because
it's cheaper.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the other thing. It drives me crazy. People, it does not matter how much something costs to ship.
It does not matter
because we don't pay for that. That's the
customer pays for shipping.
Like. And people are like, yeah, but if it's going to be $30,
I don't care. It's $30.
That's $30. Like, that's not my problem. That's the buyer wanting something for themselves, and they live in a certain place, and
that's the cost.
That's the cost. Like, I don't think twice about.
I don't think once about it. I just do it. So the other thing is, I like to use FedEx Ground. Because it's the cheapest
for oversized boxes.
Oversized, heavy, large piece of artwork boxes now. You can print labels off of eBay for FedEx Ground. You get a discount. That's my favorite way of doing it.
And then for artwork, we're kind of all over. We're all over the place. So for small pieces, like 12 by 10 or something. I mean, we sell those all day long for $30 to $50,
depending on what it is, $100.
Yeah. But I mean, we'll go as low as like $30.
Yeah.
I mean, but when you're talking large pieces like he's saying, we would want to make at least $100.
Oh, minimum. Yeah. Minimum 100. Right. I mean, it depends on what the piece is, but something that big is going to be a nice print. It's going to be an etching. It's going to be a painting.
But, I mean, I find, though, you can find art that will sell for, under $300 that isn't by, like, a big name.
Yeah.
There aren't a lot of people bidding against it. It's just a cool piece. Once you start to get over $300, it seems like it needs to have some kind of name attached. It's collectible, but then it's going to cost you more to get, that kind of thing.
Right, exactly. So art is a whole. We did a podcast all about art.
Right,
we did a whole podcast about it.
And I will link to that as well.
Yes.
But he also asked about like how popular outsider art is. I mean, it's
popular,
pretty popular, But if you type in outsider art on eBay, I mean, you get like a bazillion listings.
Weird stuff.
No, that's not. It's what I'm trying to say. You get so many different things because people use that term like vintage, widely. It's not a really good term for people to search for.
That's why I was saying weird stuff because you're not like. It's this very particular style. It's just this wacky, like, weird word. But people are searching for it.
But there is a particular thing that is outsider art that people will pay a lot of money for. Right. It's well done. It's very particular. And if if you have any sense of art, it's pretty obvious what that is going to look like. And then his last thing is the 800 bottles of nail polish.
It's nail polish, not lipstick.
We have not sold a single one.
We have not sold a single bottle of nail polish.
And this is a good example of what taking a chance is.
Yeah, and I'm not worried at all.
Yep. I think we spent $300, about $280.
Yeah, it was $300.
Yeah. And we know from experience that it's probably going to take 12 to 24 months for it to all sell. And this happens very often where something won't sell for 6 months.
Yeah, this is suddenly,
I don't know if it gets linked to, and then suddenly it just starts to sell. And then at the end, I'm like, I wish we had so much more of this.
That happened. That's happened to us. Yep. So I'm not worried about that.
Hey guys, this is Claus from eBay. Listen, I've been amassing some shoe inventory, and I had a question about how you guys handle magic marker prices on the bottom of the shoes. The thrifts in my area all seem to mark their prices with permanent magic marker, and on the better shoes, the ones that don't have a rubber sole, that have a really nice, made in Italy leather sole, that sole tends to be quite absorbent, and I can't just wipe off the magic marker even with a solvent of any kind. So I was wondering if you have a trick for dealing with that, or whether you would avoid shoes that are priced like that, or whether you just leave it on there and let the buyer know that, hey, you sourced it and they have to pay a markup, and that's just the way the world works. Anyway, thanks a lot for the podcast. I really enjoy it. Makes all my driving around so much more pleasant. Thanks very much, guys. Bye-bye.
Okay, this is so simple. What you do is you get a magic marker and you write over it.
Yep.
That's all we do.
Yep.
I don't try to remove it.
Right.
I just write over it.
Right. When there's, if it's plastic, it comes off. But if it's a leather thing, we just take a black marker and just make a big box. So there's just a big box there, and that's all it is.
That's it.
We never allow the price to stay on.
Never.
Because, if you ever do that,
don't do that.
The person will get pissed because it says this was $5.
Yeah.
This was $2.
And what's hilarious is people will if people see the price, I'll be like, I didn't even pay that price. I probably paid less than that. So don't leave the price on. That's bad.
Okay, we have a question from email, and this gentleman says, he got a very angry message from a buyer on eBay today. He says, for an item that was not sent to the person the day that they thought it was going to be. So the item was labeled as it's missent by
yes.
USPS. And so the person asking its question is asking, is it his fault?
What do I do?
Because he did everything right. He packed it, he shipped it right away, it's got tracking on it, but then it's the post office that made its mistake, and supposedly its buyer was expecting it on a very certain day because it's a birthday present, and is mad at this,
the seller.
So what does he do?
Okay, so I actually had a very long conversation back and forth with this person because I'm a shipping nerd.
And you guys were looking at the tracking.
No, so here's the deal. When I see something as missent, it's usually just missent to the next town over. It went to the main sorting place, and boop, it just went over to the next town over. So it's going to go back to the sorting place, and it's going to probably get there the next day. That is the experience I've had many times. And I asked him for the tracking. I said, I want to look at the tracking. Tell me what town it was supposed to go to. I looked at Google Maps, blah, blah, blah. I was like, it's in the next town over. It's going to get there tomorrow. I swear. I emailed myself the tracking information. I followed it through email. Sure enough, the next day it got to the person.
Yep.
So the thing is, what I told him was, it's not your fault. You've conveyed this to your customer. Did the customer say, I need it by this date? I don't think they did, because he sounded surprised that he had to, get it there by that date. So, for me, I'm like, you said what you have to say. Sorry, it should get there tomorrow, blah, blah, blah. Silent method.
Yep.
There's nothing that can be done. It's not your fault. They know it's not your fault.
Yep.
You did what you can do.
And I will say, when we're driving, I'm normally the one that drives the car, and Ryan's in the passenger seat. Ryan will sit there for a long time and just look on her phone at items, at tracking. She's like, did it get there? Ooh, it's in transit. Ooh, this one, look at
that.
This one.
Literally is true.
But you know what? That's good, though, because you're following through.
Because I'm the shipper, so I'm like, and I'll see if something got missent or whatever, refused, or any weird thing that happened.
Tell me wow, this got to California in 3 days.
That's so awesome. Look, it got to Honolulu in 2 days.
Right?
How did that happen?
It's got to Thailand,
I track my stuff. I wake up in the morning and I track it. Before I go to sleep, I'm tracking stuff. Why not?
Hi, Jay and Ryan. It's Tom, the English picker here. I just thought I'd give you a quick call. Because I've been shouting at my computer of late, because unfortunately my defect rating has just slipped past that 2% mark. I'm currently at 2.33%. And I just wanted to see what your thoughts on it were. It's something new that I've started to look at recently, and I'm getting little dings for things like a neutral feedback I got 9 months ago, and also 2 transactions that I cancelled when I was away on holiday. I set my handling time to 15 days, and the person just said, sorry, I didn't notice, can you cancel it? But I'm getting dinged for that, so I'm wondering whether I could phone up and get that sort of removed somehow, and I've also got 3 counts for requests of items not received, and I have 2 of those. The person never collected them from the sorting office. They didn't realise, and one of them opened up a case. And they just never got back to me, never responded, and the case automatically closed. So it added those on there, which is somewhat frustrating because obviously I lose the eBay top-rated seller status. So if you could just briefly touch on that, that would be super. Hope you're both well. Take care now. Bye.
Okay, I will say this. I wish I had Tom the English Picker's accent. I wish that I had a British accent. It sounds so awesome.
I like your accent.
So, okay, Tom, you know what I'm going to say. Some of these defects are not justified, and you need to call eBay and get them removed.
And, I know this is unfortunate because, you just want to focus on scavenging and selling. And unfortunately, there's now this thing where part of your business is keeping track of this stuff and probably calling eBay once a week, because that's what we do. We call it once a week. And you spend about 10 to 30 minutes arguing or, talking about a defect and getting them taken off.
The problem is, and we are seeing this over and over again, it's like there is a robot that gives you a defect. It's not supposed to be there. You cleared the case with the customer, you refunded the customer, you fixed it, you're fine. But the robot doesn't care. The robot just gave you the defect.
It's not a robot. It's just
it's the system.
The eBay website where if someone says something is not as described, but if you fix it and give a refund, it's not fine-tuned enough to be able to fix itself.
Right. So you have to call a person to get them to fix it.
And most times the eBay people are totally cool about
they're like,
yep, that's true. But if you don't keep on every week, then it builds up, and if they're too old, they'll tell you, well, it's over 30 days or something. We can't touch it.
Just you gotta look at your defect rate. I hate looking at it because I hate seeing the stuff that's unjustified. I'm like, oh, damn it. But you got to call and fix it, and then once it's fixed, you're good to go.
My question is, how do I buy Ting and you get the referral for it? Thank you very much. Bye.
I'm pretty sure he's asking about Ting.
Yeah, the phone service that we use ourselves.
Yeah.
And we've told people about because, again, it's like one of those things where we go through our bills and we're like, this bill's too much. How can we, not spend $200 a month on phone bills?
Right.
And so we found this company, Ting, and he's asking how he gets that. It's credit that we talked about.
So we will link to it, but we have a referral link, and when you click through and then sign up, it will just tell you got a credit. So it's pretty easy.
Yeah, and we'll just be very clear, too. So Ting, it uses Sprint, which works for us, and we like it. But there are many other of these companies, too. It's Republic Wireless.
Yeah.
Google is just now coming out with something called Google Fi or something like that. And so they're starting a phone service, too.
Crazy.
So it seems like almost every major carrier, there's a smaller one that buys
bandwidth,
So if you love a certain carrier, AT&T or whatever, find the carrier for that.
Right.
Hey, Ryan and Jay, this is Diana calling from Houston, Texas. I have a question for you. I've been selling on eBay for about 12 years, and this is the first time I've noticed anything like this, and that is people seem to be able to retract their bids. That is, I show that something has been bid on, and within hours or days later, before the auction ends, I have noticed recently that people are able to retract their bids, and so the item is for sale again. I don't know if this is part of eBay's new plan to get anybody to bid at any cost, even if they want to change their mind at any time, but I didn't notice this before. As I say, I've been selling for a long time, and this is the first time I've noticed that. So I wanted to ask you about that, and I wanted to know if you have noticed it yourself or any other bidders have noticed it as well. Thanks a lot. Bye.
Yep. people can retract their bids.
And I don't know. I mean, we don't do enough auctions to know if this is something is new or not. But it's happened to us a couple times. I mean, I don't know if it's happened more lately than not. But
yeah, but that's the thing. We don't do auctions enough to know. I know people can request to cancel a buy it now. That happened lots of times. But
yeah, I mean, eBay, I wouldn't doubt if it's true, but I have no idea. I mean, eBay has always kind of been is moving towards making it easier and easier to buy, giving the buyer, money back guarantees and hassle-free returns. And you know what? That's good. I mean, I don't know. I think it's fine.
Yeah, I mean,
and it's just how it is, and
just things change and rules change.
I mean, it happened to us again.
Yep.
It's this week. Someone bought an item from us. We're psyched. They messaged us an hour later and said, I got to cancel. And we're like, that sucks.
Well, that sucks. We gave you a good deal. Yeah. So, but what can you do? Yeah. There's nothing you can do. You cancel it, you relist it.
Keep it going.
Hey, Jay and Ryan. Thanks a lot for all you do. You guys are great. I love listening to your podcast. I just wanted to let you know that I am sick after I saw that watch you sold. I had the exact same watch, and I sold it for $40. Even though I did my research, it didn't say that Ingersoll, the brand on it, and those watches were marked as less, so I thought, oh, damn it, I don't have the good one. And anyway, that sucks, but life goes on. My question is, I have a basic store right now, and the next level store is going to cost me $34 approximately a month. And at what point do you change to that? That makes sense. I have about 250 items in my store. I trying to list. I do work another job, so I probably get from 10 to 15 a week, maybe not quite as many some weeks listed. So I don't know if you could give me any advice on that. And also, when you buy things at estate sales and Goodwill, we're not able to write that off till we sell it. So how do you label that? Yeah, just a question. All right. Thanks a lot. Have a great weekend, and I'll be listening to hear what your answer is. Bye. Thanks.
Number one, we're sorry about the watch, but just to maybe make you feel it's better. I mean, those watches every couple of years they would put out a new model. So we had one that was specifically fairly rare.
Right.
So yours might not have been as rare,
Well, so here's the deal. Ours did not say Ingersoll, but it was made by Ingersoll.
Right.
And the reason I know that is because I did more research than you. No, I did not do that much research, but I found a website that said, this looks just like the one, Ingersoll made, except they took their logo off. I was like, well, okay, that's weird. $800, please. So, I don't know. It was just a random tidbit that I found out. So, anyway, you talk about when to bump up your store from the basic store to the next level. And as Jay always says, do the numbers. See if the math makes sense for what you pay for fees.
Yeah, I mean, don't do it until it feels like if you're paying more now than you would if you bumped up your subscription. And eBay does a thing where if you sign up for 12 months, they make the monthly rate even cheaper.
Yeah.
And that's what we do. So we're always trying to save a bit of money. But this is always about you knowing how, if you're really going to stick to this, if you're going to keep your eBay store for 12 months, if you're going to keep improving it, adding, let's say 10 a week. So, that's really how it works for us.
Just make sure the fees make sense and bump it up, and then you should be good.
Yep. So that's it for It's This Week. We hope that you have gotten some work done.
Made some sales. Hopefully you've made some sales while we've been talking.
I hope so. You can always check out our blog where this will be posted at scavengerlife.com. Those of you that are hearing us through YouTube, there's kind of a whole other world at our blog. if you're interested, where we, people talk in the comments and help each other. And
we learn a ton of stuff from the comments every week. So.
I will always be putting the links to things we talked about over there as well. And you can either email us a question that we'll answer, or you can call in.
The number is 540-407-8486.
And Wednesday, Ryan will most likely be posting another What Sells a video.
I have a nice bunch of stuff to show people.
Yeah, we talk about it here, but you'll be able to actually see the kind of things we sell and how much we sell them for. And then lately I've been doing some cool interviews with some people, so we might put another one up this Friday as well.
Yes, we are going to try very hard.
And, okay, guys, we also will link to our vacation farmhouse, so if you want to ever take a vacation, come and visit us.
And we'll have dinner with you, if you cook. That's my newest catchphrase from Jay. We'll have dinner with you, if you cook.
Hey, there's a whole little barbecue pit.
Oh, we can BBQ.
I'll make the fire. We can go get some ribs,
Yeah, we can look at the stars.
Yeah.
It's very nice. Nice.
And pet the cows.
But yes, there are cows in the field next door, so it's very cute to hang out and watch them. Okay, this podcast is ending in 3, 2, 1, 0.